Alexandra Eala's serve barely tops 90 m/s, so she wins by refusing to let the point end. Breakpoint, center court. Eager SHFON Tech, the defending champion, loads up the forehand that has closed out 100 matches, and across the net, a 21-year-old is already sprinting before the ball is struck. By the tape, SHFON Tech had 11 of these chances. Eala erased 8 of them. Not one of those 8 was saved by a serve she blasted past anyone. They were saved on foot, in the corners, at the end of rallies she had no business still being in. Rewind to the reason. Her first serve sits around 86 miles an hour, her second closer to 75. In a sport where the top women serve in the 110s, that is a locked door she cannot kick open. So the free point never comes. Every service game, every break point has to be won the long way, by outlasting the person on the other side. This is where the weakness quietly inverts. A big hitter expects the point to end in 3 shots. When it reaches the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the pressure slides across the net and lands on the one who was supposed to be in control. And she is not just chasing. That heavy left-handed topspin drags a right-hander wide to the backhand, opens the court, and turns a desperate get into a setup. It is 2025, first round, and the defending Wimbledon champion Barbora Krejcikova has just taken the opening set off her. Then the legs arrive. Ball after ball comes back, and a match Krejcikova should have closed drags into a third. The doubters call it pushing. Junk, a defender with no weapons. The stat line against SHFON Tech says otherwise: 24 winners against 21 unforced errors. She retrieves to build. Then she ends it herself. Even Martina Navratilova, watching all of this, saw the ceiling in it. Lean harder into the left-handedness, she said, and sharpen the decisions, or the survival style stays a survival style. Because there is a tax on winning this way. Krejcikova tested her retrieving speed. SHFON Tech tested it harder. The strongest opponents keep pulling her one step further than the last one could. And in the 4th round, one player finally read the whole thing, solved the grass patterns she loves, and aimed straight at the soft serve until it cracked. Her name was Jasmine Paolini. It's the summer of 2025, and the defending Wimbledon champion has just hit a winner. Except it isn't. The ball comes back. Barbora Krejcikova blinks. On paper, it is a mismatch. A defending champion against a debutante in her first main draw match at the All England Club. The champion hits harder, serves bigger, has stood on this grass and lifted the trophy. But every time Krejcikova opens the court and goes for the kill, the point refuses to die. A ball she has already filed in her head as a winner is floating back over the net with that awkward spin on it. She takes the first set, 6-3, clean. A bigger hitter lives by a simple contract. Hit the great shot, win the point, move on. Take that contract away, and something starts to fray. You start aiming closer to the lines, because the normal winner is not enough anymore. You add a little more pace than you actually have, because one more ball keeps coming. The errors pile up, and she never had to touch them. Then, deep in the 2nd set, the champion stops trying to end the points. She shortens her swing. She stops going for the line and starts going heavy and deep down the middle, daring the young player to make the winner instead. And that is the crack. Extend the rally long enough against a debutante, and the retrieving legs that was saving her start to cost her. The champion recovers to close it out. 3-6, 6-2, 6-1. The scoreline says routine. The first set says otherwise. The whole blueprint was already sitting there in her very first Wimbledon match. Make the best players in the world play one more ball than they want to. Some of them blink. The great ones find the answer, and the young one standing across the net learns exactly how they did it. None of this came from nowhere. 7 days before she walked onto that court, on the same grass coast, The same refusal to lose a point had already dragged her into a final. How that one ended is a story the tour spent the rest of the season arguing about. You hit the perfect approach, clean, deep into the open court, and she gets there anyway. But getting there was never the trick. Bigger hitters have watched her chase down winners before and shrugged, because a player on the full stretch gives the ball back soft, floating, begging to be put away. Hers does not. It is the third round at Wimbledon, center court. Eager SHFO win tech pulls her wide, and the reply comes back with weight and direction, landing low. The defender just became the aggressor. The forehand is the shot that gives orders. She does not use it to stay in rallies, she uses it to set their terms, driving opponents behind the baseline until they are the ones defending. The two-handed backhand does the quieter work, absorbing pace and redirecting it, changing the angle so the point keeps bending back toward her control. And she is reading your reply before you have hit it. That is why the court looks smaller on her side. She starts moving on your contact, sometimes before it, so the sprint that looked impossible is really a head start you never saw her take. So the scramble was never survival. It was the setup. Every stretched retrieval buys the half second she needs for the lefty geometry to open, and defense turns into offense in a single swing. Left-handedness is the hidden lever. Her heavy topspin swings naturally into a right-hander's backhand, the weaker wing, so the same ball that would sit up for them jumps at their shoulder instead. The harder you hit, the more angles she has to send it back. It is the commentary booth, and Martina Navratilova is watching the same thing you are. Her verdict becomes two words the tour repeats all season: use it more. Leverage the left hand, sharpen the decisions, and the ceiling lifts. Because the engine has a governor. Against the very best, the retrieving speed has a limit, and the choice of when to attack instead of chase is the thin line between a rattled opponent and a patient one. 1 week after SH Fon Tech, someone had charted all of it. In the fourth round, Jasmine Paolini walked on court already knowing the patterns, hunting the dip in the serve, ready to make the engine stall. The blueprint that beat a champion had itself been solved. It is the third round at Wimbledon, and you are serving to a woman who returns for a living. Breakpoint down. Second serve, 75 miles an hour, drifting into her strike zone. This is the point you lose. You don't lose it. SHFON Tech takes the return early and drives it into the corner, and you are already gone, sliding, stretching, one hand off the grass, floating the ball back over the net, and somehow you are in the rally again. That was one of them. There were 8. 11 times the defending champion held a breakpoint against you. 8 times you erased it, not with a bigger shot, but by refusing to let the point end. Watch her across the net. She hits the line, you send it back. She hits the other line, you send that back too. The plan was 3 shots to the winner. Now it's 6, and her feet are a half step slow to the 7th. By the end, you had struck 24 winners against 21 errors. A positive ledger built the hard way on the points she should have finished and didn't. 7-6, the tie-break stretching to 11, then 6-2. You beat Iga SHFON Tech on center court. 21 years old, and the first player the Philippines has ever sent into the second week of a Grand Slam. The scoreboard says straight sets. The second set was never in doubt. 6-2 is a formality. The match had already been decided 1 set earlier in a tie-break that would not end. It climbed to 11 points before a champion's belief finally cracked, and 1 point inside it turned the whole match. It came off the weakest serve in the draw. That point is next. 75 miles an hour. In a Grand Slam third round, that is not a serve, it is an invitation. It is center court, and Iga SHFON Tech accepts. She steps into the second serve, cracks it toward the corner, and waits for the point to be over. The ball comes back. She hits it harder. It comes back again. You have watched Eala do this all afternoon, run down the unrunnable and turn one more retrieval into one more ball in play. This time, the champion blinks first. Seshfon Tech, who built a whole career on not missing, nets it. Not forced off the court, not aced. She simply ran out of safe places to put the ball. Everyone in the stadium thought they were watching a player hang on. The scoreboard told a different story. 24 winners, 21 unforced errors. Against the cleanest ball striker in the sport, Eala was the one doing the hitting. The scrambling was never survival. Every ball she chased dragged Seshfon Tech one step further out of her own shape until the court opened and Eala had the winner waiting. The first set had needed a tiebreak that climbed past every safe number. The second was not close. It is the second set now, and the belief is leaking out of the other side of the net. Shfo the net, Seshfon Tech's margins shrink. The errors come in clusters, and 6-2 finishes it. A 21-year-old from a country that had never produced a tennis star had just beaten the defending champion on center court and walked into a second week where no Filipino had ever stood. She had done it with the softest serve in the draw, and Seshfon Tech never once thought to aim at it. She tried to out-hit Eala instead. The next player to study this match will not make that mistake. She will hit the one target the scrambling can never reach. If this brought the match back to you, subscribe for the next one.